Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight was. Yes, Starlight was. I took Joe and we went for a long walk and like a long walk out and a long walk back. And so, yes, I love animals. And so, yes, my grandson's doggy Joe and I went, for a car ride. Joe's like, I want to sit on your lap. I'm like, okay, you win. And, so we're back. So, yes, Joe and I took a long walk. You know what it's like if you have a dog, What's that smell? So yes, dogs, they sniff and sniff, so, and then you gotta greet other dogs, and Joe's like, so Joe was scared out of his mind, but you know what? Joe was excited, sniffing, but it's like, you're not getting near Starlight. So it is too funny. So yes, Joe and I had a great walk, and I love you all, and I hope you're getting out in nature. And if you have a dog, you know what it's like. It could be like a half-hour walk for you, but then when you walk a dog, it could be a whole hour, of a walk. So Joe's a fast little walker. So anyway, I love you all, and if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome. And you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. Also, you could give my videos a thumbs up, bam bam bam, and you can also share my videos with your family, your friends. I gotta say a dog. Maybe I'll put Joe in here. Shh, don't say anything. Joe said yes, it's okay, all right. So yes, you could share my videos with a dog or a cat. They can be friends at times, depending on those. And also, don't forget, you can leave a message down below, beep, beep, beep. And you can check out my playlist. Plus, if you want to share any of your dogs or cats or whatever pet you have, not your husband, please. Not your husband. Not that kind of pet. But if you have a pet and you would like to share on my YouTube channel, I would love to see your pet, and I would love to know, any information that you have. Don't be afraid, please. Don't be afraid to share, your pet. Just ask your pet, is it all right if I put your dog's like, yeah? The animal's like, yeah. So, you already got their permission, so you could send that to Starlight. And that is on my Instagram, and that is 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. So anyway, I love you so much, and so today is, can you pass this test? Can you? I don't know, can you? How about you? Can you pass this test? What test? What test, Starlight? What test? What? I'm scared. I am like nervous now. You said test. I know, isn't that scary when you're in school, and especially when you know what a test is, and you're like, did I pass? Or, even when you take the driver's test. The written test. So Starlight failed once, and then after that, bam, got that. The road test. When is it ever gonna end, right? And then bam, Starlight got that right. Bam, first time. Is so yes, but not that kind of test. Like, we are tested all the time. We are tested. We're tested on, how late we sleep in. What do you do first thing when you wake up in the morning? We have so many choices of what we can do when we wake up in the morning. We could, like, if it's your day off, I'm saying, like, you could, like, wake up and, like I used to do, start your morning off early, get your cup of coffee if you're a coffee drinker. Beer? Who said anything about beer? Roar. So no, not that kind of bear, but you start your morning off with a can of beer. Okay. So, no, not that kind of beer, but you start your morning off like going on YouTube. What are you watching? Oh, it's Starlight. That's okay. That's a good way to start, your morning off by watching Starlight. It's videos. Oh, you read your Bible in a morning like Starlight. Yay! That's a great way to start your morning off. What do? I watch TikTok from the time I get up, and it feels like only a few minutes went by, and then whoop, bam, I had to go to the bathroom, and I didn't even want to get up from the computer, and I had to go past a clock somewhere to get to that bathroom, and what in the world? Where did the time go? It only felt like a few minutes, but before I know it, it's like 12 o'clock. I had a lot of stuff to do throughout the day, and now it's like, how the blank am I gonna get all that shit done today? Because half my morning's already gone. Starlight's been there. Starlight has been there with Facebook. I swear, I was talking to a robot that all the robot would do would send pictures on Facebook, and it's like no matter what time of day it was, that person was still there. I'm like, I went to work and came back and it was still there. I wake up and it's still there. Middle of the night, it's still there. I'm like, how the heck? So I'm like, I wasted all those hours. But that's a test, see? That's a test. What are you gonna do on your day off? Absolutely nothing, Starlight. Well, don't get mad at me when Monday comes and your house is upside down. You didn't do the laundry. Didn't do the dishes. You didn't even make your bed. Starlight makes her bed every morning. When I wake up, bed is made. I even did that when I was in my car. Wow, that was exciting. Scary, that was a lot of work in the car, making my bed. So we got choices all the time. You're being tested all the time. And then when you wake up, like I said, what are you doing when you get up in the morning? How are you, how's your energy? Are you going to wake up complaining about yesterday and stuck in yesterday, or even last week, and you wake up and you're like, getting upset at somebody that did something to you yesterday, and now today is here, and you're still, wait until I see that person, wait until I got a what for to say to that person when I see them on Monday. It's a long weekend, right? It's a long weekend when you gotta wait all that time. What are you gonna say, So, we are tested on how we treat people. Little secret, God's watching everything that you're doing. Everything is being recorded. I know, isn't it? Oh no, that's scary. Starlight, I'm not afraid. I'll tell you, there's a lot of things in life that, we don't even think of what we're doing, okay? Action, reaction, like when I do this, is it, am I doing something that's the right thing to do? Or am I going to make the wrong choice, because like, say for instance, you're somewhere at somebody's house and they have money laying around. You have a choice. I see there's money. People, they get comfortable in their houses. When I had my cleaning business, jewelry was all around in the bedrooms, cash, there's times I had to look for a pen because I had to write a note and I didn't have a pen, not even in my car. I'm like, I gotta write a note. And there's times I'd open up drawers just trying to look for a pen, and I'm like, whoa, there's money in here. And that's a test. You bet your ass that's a test. There's some people that I know, I'm not going to mention any names, but you know what they do? And people that have people come in their house to clean houses, they do the same thing. They test the housekeeper, and they will put money where it's visible right there, or have it in a certain spot, and they know, they got to clean around this, and they leave money purposely, or jewelry purposely, to set it out, to see if anybody's going to fall for the bait. I'll tell you, there's lots of tests all the time. Every time, you decide to do something, it's like there's something inside of us like, I could get away with that. And then the other's like, I don't think so. I'd rather not do that because that's Starlight. Starlight's like, nah, we're good. I want to sleep tonight because if I knew that I did something wrong, I would not be able to sleep through the night. I would toss and turn. I talk about a guilt complex. Starlight has a guilt complex. That's why I'm able to, not that I always make the right decisions, but I have a guilty conscience. Like, I've never met anybody with a guilty conscience like mine, where I would not be able to sleep. So everything that we're doing is being watched, and we're being tested. We're being tested, in the relationships that we have. I just seen the 11:11. It was 11 minutes and 11 seconds. So, in relationships, God is in all of us. Well, how do we know that God is not going to use somebody and, do something to you and to trigger you? Because I tell you what, there's somebody out there that I am in higher love with, and I've been tested. I've been so much tested. I wonder what she's going to do if I do, boom, this. And it's like, that really got me upset. So, I'm so upset. What am I going to do? What am I going to do about it? Well, I have a choice, right? It's best, really, take it from somebody that's experienced this over and over again about being tested. Instead of reacting or responding to any of that shit, sit with it for a bit. Don't do anything. Absolutely not. Don't pick up your phone. I know, isn't it a temptation, like to pick up our phone like, or call them up and like, what the, or wait for them to come at the house, like if you're in a relationship and they, what time did they get out of work, and you're like, wait until they come in that door. You're waiting for them because you want to, and, so we're being tested. God can, imagine that. God can use somebody out in public to test you, to see how you're going to respond. Like I told you not too long ago, there was a story of a gas station where, the owner of the gas station, dressed up like a homeless person, went into the gas station where they had workers. I don't know if it was a new worker, just testing out the new worker. Hey, let's see how long he'll last, and go in there and act like a crazy man and, just act it out. It was an act. It was a freaking act. Just to see how the worker in the store was going to respond to the homeless person. Is he going to be a jerk and call him names? Is he going to touch him? Is he going to be abusive to him? It was a test. That's how this matrix is. I'll tell you, the universe has ways, so many different ways. I got, like, throughout this journey, it's been a trip. So when a homeless person comes up to you, it's a test. We're tested all the time. I know when I was younger, I wasn't thinking. Sometimes that happens to all of us, right? Yeah. But God knows. God knows if you totally wasn't thinking, what was I thinking? Later on, it's like one of those moments that you're like, what the blank was I thinking? I know that what I did was wrong, but I wasn't thinking at the time when I made that decision to do something like that. And then later on, you're like, I could have gotten a whole lot of trouble. I wasn't thinking. It was my first time, first offense, So yeah, God knows. See, God can be merciful to us and like, oh, it's her, it was Starlight's first offense. What did Starlight do? Starlight, you did what? I know, it was really bad. Really bad. I could have been in jail after that one. But it was a lesson. I'll tell you what. After I did that, I was like, what was I thinking? The kind of shit that could have happened. What I did, I went out, wasn't thinking. I got caught off guard. How young was I? I was really young. I might have been, I was drinking age. I might have been just drinking age, not even really thinking. I got invited to a party off the street, and I went into the house. They ran out of beer, but I didn't know how old anybody was at the party. You know, and I went blindly and went, they're like, can you go get the beer, Starlight? Huh? And I wasn't even thinking. I didn't think anything of it until the next day. Ouch! I never did that again. Let me see your ID. You know, I'm not going to buy... No, Starlight's not going to buy your ID. I mean, Starlight is not going to buy your alcohol. So these are things that were tested. A lot of times we think, oh, they won't hurt those kids. Man, it could, end somebody's life because of one big, huge screw up, right? So we're always being tested. How we treat each other as in a relationship, those are the tests. Somebody could have a bad day, and how are you going to be to them when they come home and maybe they're a little cranky? Are you going to just be like them and turn into a monster, and just start more problems? Or are you going to say, hey, I'm sorry that you had a horrible day today. You know what? I want to let you relax. We have choices that we can make. We don't always have to lean towards the wrong decisions and, make the wrong decisions. And you got to think first. It's good to think a little bit before we make those decisions and let me weigh the scale out, right? You got this scale and it's like, okay, I can do, the right thing, but sometimes doing the naughty thing feels a little bit better, but the consequences is what you got to think about. Is the consequence worth what you're deciding to do? So we're always being tested all the time. And like some of you might have pets. What if your pet, you came home and your pet shit on the floor? How are you going to respond? Is it the dog's fault? Maybe the dog ate something in the house, How are you going to respond? How are you going to react? Okay, now we're going to go to the child. The child just turned into a devil. Before it was an angel and now it's a devil. God uses that child to test you out. Man, earlier, it just happened like that, right? Child was so happy, and then you said no about something, and they're like, whew, totally different child. You're gonna be tested. Are you gonna do something to the child? Because God's testing us all the time. Are you gonna pass the test? When it comes to children, you have a test. And a lot of times it is really best, really, with children is really take a breather for a bit, depending on their age, understand that they're children. That is the point. They're children, they're learning stuff, and they're gonna, when they get older, they're gonna challenge you, so depending on how you were when you started off with a child, that really will determine the kind of things that they're gonna do later on. And that is why tough love is a hard thing. Hang on, I gotta plug my phone in. I think I might be able to make it. So tough love is very hard with kids, is to, they're going to test us at so many different levels, and the older they get, the more challenges challenging it can be, as far as a parent. We also have choices as far as when we eat something. You know, this happens to Starlight many times. You know, I just had a birthday party, you know, and my family made me a strawberry cake. I don't eat cake. I have not eaten cake in a long time, but guess what? I ate one piece and that was it, and a little bit of ice cream. That's it. That's it. I'm good. No more. But like when it comes to food, you can go to somebody's house. You might be on a diet, and this happens to many people when holidays come. They're on a diet, and then you know they go to somebody's house, and it's all unhealthy food, and you're there at the table, and everybody's passing all this food to you. Here, have some apple pie. Starlight's like, is that homemade apple pie or is that store-bought crap? Starlight is not going to eat the pie either way, but we have choices all the time. Somebody can like you could go, when you decide to go to a restaurant, I could go to the fast food place, which I know, you know, we all know the fast food place food is crap and it's not good for you. Those people that have those places, they don't care about you. They care about your money. They don't care about your health. They care about your money. They just want your business. You know, that's all they want. Come on, buy our food. We don't care about your health later on. We don't care how long you're going to live. We don't care what it's going to do to your heart later on when you have heart issues. We have choices all the time. We're being tested all the time. How about when you're driving down the road? Are you going to be that person when, you know, Starlight is really good at, I'll tell you what, after I got my speeding ticket a long time ago. Speed limit says what? Okay. That's what we're doing. You don't like my speed? Guess what? There's 2 lanes and there's a cop down the road. So, you know, we have choices all the time. And, you know, now Starlight can be a rebel at times. I will stand up for my rights. So yes, that is great. I believe what we all do that. Use your voice. We have a choice. We have a choice. We're being tested. We can actually use our voice and speak up about stuff that we totally don't agree with and that we don't want nothing to do with, and we're going to be a voice. Or we have a choice to not do a freaking thing, not say anything, but stand in a corner somewhere and just watch the show and see if anybody else is going to say anything. You know, like if you were picked for a jury duty, I wanted it. I mean, I'm like one of those strange ones out there. I always wanted to get picked for a jury duty because I would be that one that would stand out from the whole entire, everybody would say, oh, he's guilty or she's guilty. And I'd be like, no, there's something about this case that, you know what? It takes a lot of balls when everybody wants to go home because they know that they're not getting the money that they would make in that week. But how much worth, I mean, imagine you were the one that they had to decide if you were guilty or not. Would you want them to say, I just want to get out of here and I just want to go home and I want to go to work tomorrow and get my hours in. I just want to get done with this. I don't want to be here. I'm getting ripped off. They don't pay me enough to be here. I don't care about this case. It could be you one day that they got to decide, is Starlight guilty? Did Starlight do it? Or did Starlight not do it? Is she innocent? Well, I hope that the people that are in the jury duty, that they take that shit serious. Because that's a serious matter. It's not about your paycheck at home, whether you can pay your bills. No, somebody's ass is on the line. So, you know, we can have all the excuses that we want to have in life and say, you know, I did that because, and like I said, there's times, God, you know, like the 3 strikes you're out. You know, there's times that, God, many times, you know, imagine, a lot of people complain a lot about officers. You know, imagine how many times you broke a traffic law, you know, and never got caught. You never got a ticket, you know. It's like, you feel like you're invisible, don't you? Until, woo, 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 woo. Then they pull you over, and then, Now it's not so fun, right? Starlight's been there. So Starlight's chemicals were really off at those years, though. I was going through a spiritual awakening. Whee! So yes, we are always being tested all the time. And how are you going to treat people out on the street? You know, are you going to act stuck up and act like you don't even see that person? Or when somebody's out there and you're like, hey, it looks like they could use some help, but you know, I'm just going to watch and walk away, and yeah, maybe somebody else will help them out. I just helped a man and his girlfriend. They ran out of gas at a rest area. They were so beyond grateful. They sat there for since 4 o'clock in the morning until I got there, which might have been about 10 o'clock, sitting there asking, begging for help. Nobody would help him out. His wife was there. His brand new freaking car was there. He wasn't gonna, believe me, he just got this car. So I had to let go of fear, trust that God was calling me. I ended up talking to that man for that whole time. That to me was a blessing, you know? So we have choices. We can be honest about our life and who we are in our business in life or with our families, or we can lie about shit. We can lie. We don't, like, God gave us a free will. Shit, you can do whatever you want, right? But there's consequences to everything that we do. And if you didn't know something I didn't know that, I didn't think about that, God is merciful. God knows the heart. God knows your heart. But if, you did that, like drinking and driving, I don't know how many people I knew in my life, and it's pretty sad that they got caught drinking and driving. And they just took their money, took them to court, scared them a little bit, got more money out of them, Then they went out, did it again, got caught again, drinking and driving. We'll scare them again. We'll take all of their money, and we'll say, hey, your license is suspended. But you know what? They didn't learn that lesson either. They got right in their car again and started driving different places. And later on, was drinking and driving again with a suspended license. So what do you think? We have choices. It's up to you what you're gonna do all the time. Like today, I had today, let's see, I went and walked the dog somewhere, and I made sure I brought the water, and I had choices. I could speed to get there. At a stop sign, I don't have to stop at a stop sign, right? But I stopped at a stop sign. So everything that you do throughout the day, all kinds of stuff. I mean, like, this video could be for hours just thinking of all the different things that we are challenged with all the time. How about the workplace that you work? You're tested. How much shit are you going to put up with until you realize that you're working for the wrong company? Are you just going to keep on working there thinking that you've got to do that? No, you don't have, nothing holds you there. You're the only one that's holding yourself there. Fear holds you, keeps you trapped. But you can free yourself when you face that fear and say, you know what? No, I'm catching on. This is a game. These people have been playing me. And it's causing a lot of stress in my body. And, I am tired of it. But you got to face that fear and say no. And your bills aren't going to get paid if you quit that job. A lot of people, they actually will have their one foot there and they will look for a job as they're working. And that's what I did before. I'm like, okay, I was doing this, and I went out and I started looking for a job, and you'll find out, as if that job works out or not. But you don't have to stay at that job or that relationship. You're being tested, and if you are afraid to face people and you stay trapped in those situations, then you're going to be miserable. God is testing us, and God will reward you many times when you decide to make the right choice in life and you decide not to be afraid about stuff and you face it head on, bam, God will bless you. It could be right away, or it could be later on throughout your life. Sometimes we miss out on opportunities because we didn't make the right decision. We were afraid. We let fear. Like there's certain times of the year, just like when you have a garden, there's the time to plant the seed and later on the harvest time. So there's certain times of the year, if you don't do certain things at a certain time and you didn't take that jump because you let fear get in your way or you listen to other people, what other people said, then you missed out that opportunity. And now you might have to wait another, who knows how many years for another opportunity to come out the way you wanted it. So anyway, can you pass the test? Because there's lots of them all the time. We're all tested. We all have our own. My tests are going to be different than your test. I have a choice whether I can help other people out or just take, and that's not Starlight. If I have a way of helping other people out, I'm going to help them back. When people help me, help them back. It's up to you. When people give to you, do you give back or do you just hog it all up, and just take? That's a test. And God wants us to be grateful for what we're doing and to give back. So I love you so much. This is Starlight. You can give this video a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave me a message down below, beep, beep, beep. And you could share my videos with your family, your friends. A rooster? Or let me see. The chickens? And yeah, you could check out my playlist. And also, if you'd like, I'm going to put this at the end of the video, is if anybody wants to donate to help Starlight out by giving her some love, is that you can, and I will have the information in this video as to where on Cash App. So if you do have Cash App, and you want to send Starlight some love, you can, for those of you that would love to. And also, if anybody wants to share any of their pets, you can, and that would be on, you can send that on my Instagram on 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. I love you all. Can you pass the test? Think of how many things throughout a day that is a test. It's a test. Whether you brush your teeth or not, whether you were kind to your loved ones, whether you woke up on the right side of the bed and treated everybody, good, or you want to use that as an excuse of why you're being a jerk to everyone. So you have choices all the times. We're being tested, and God's watching everything we're doing. So don't be surprised when things don't quite go right, because you could be making the wrong choice and you could have flunked that test. Sorry about that. Starlight's got an itch. So I love you so much. This is Starlight, and namaste. This is Starlight, love, light, and